Hello everyone, it's History Behind the Warrior, and welcome back to another Tekken 8 video. Seeing as we are 2 weeks out from the game's release, and I need a break after doing 13 History of episodes, let's actually talk about the ending of Tekken 8, and the implications moving forward for the series, as the end of Kazuya's reign does bring forth a very interesting future for the series. One with a fairly open-ended and broad foundation which can be built upon. So with that said, today we will be breaking down our options and what direction could we possibly go in moving forward. Now mind you that this will be extremely spoiler heavy moving forward, as I will be touching on the story mode of the game, with this video strongly focused on 4 core characters whom I believe are pivotal moving forward. Jin Kazama, Jun Kazama, Kazuya Mishima, and Reina Mishima. As even with the fall of Heihach, a new dynasty and legacy awaits. So, with that said, if you're out of the loop with these characters, I do have History of episodes linked in the cards above, if any of you do wish to get a little bit more context for each character. Also worth noting that whilst the game's first year of DLC has strictly been reserved for characters, in the age of data mining and story expansions, it is to no one's surprise that there is indeed more planned later down the line. As for what those details are, they are quite bare, but I will be lightly touching on them, as there are some bits of information regarding Jun Kazama. For obvious reasons, I can't show it here out of fear the video might be taken down, thus I will have the tweet linked in the description below. But before we do begin, if you like what we do here and wish to see more, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does go a long way here. And if you wish to stick around, please don't forget to subscribe, as well as tick that bell. Anywho, let's just jump right into things. Now, by the climax of Tekken 8, one of the strongest threads that have been purposely left untouched has been Reina, a mysterious figure disguised to be the successor to Heihach Mishima, as she herself really does live and breathe his heart, soul, and fighting style. Yet, the real kicker of her being seen as a Heihach replacement has it so Reina somehow obtained the Devil Gene, something largely eradicated by the end of the story. As for who or why, well, that's the mystery purposely left behind. The unique nature of Reina's character actually adds a lot for her to be worked with, as whilst she's been largely sidelined during the main story, this was purposely done to not detract from the main plot, yet certainly slip her in the background as the universe continues to move forward. If anything, this was simply done just to establish the character. Her ending and character story though is what really adds a lot of context to who she is and what she is all about. Her ambitions, her desires, and what she's here to do. Looking at the Devil Gene in possibly the same light that Kazuya did, with it being a means to an end. I do personally find her devil form though to be quite an interesting inclusion, as it adds a sort of duality to her character, having it so she's just similar enough to her father, yet different in a way that he would absolutely despise. So with that said, what comes next for Reina? Well, with Kazuya's defeat, it's quite safe to assume that G Corporation would crumble, or at the very least, fall back in line with its history of bioengineering. Thus, because of this, I imagine a power vacuum would open up in the universe, one that Reina would happily set her eyes upon. And with the Zaibotsu seemingly stagnant, presumed frozen since Heihachi's death, this is the perfect window of opportunity for her to come in and take her family's legacy. Which, let's face it, is a very Mishima-like thing to do, as title of CEO pretty much bounces from member to member. So with it being her birthright, it's only natural to assume that it's only a matter of time before it happens. Plus, when you look at it from a story perspective, with Kazuya cold turkey, Heihachi out of the picture, and Jin probably too terrified to touch that role, Reina is kind of the perfect fit for a Tekken villain. She is a Mishima in nature, owner of a giant conglomerate bent on world domination, and also has the devil gene. She ticks all of the required boxes. And from a world building perspective, I think this does so much for the history of the devil gene, as it's been one of the biggest elusive questions surrounding her character. Because in my History of Reina video, I made it very clear that it wasn't possible for her to be a child of Kazumi, as her birth and age place her roughly around Tekken 2 to 3. So the two strongest theories right now is that she's a genetic clone of Heihachi, one spliced with the devil gene, or that Heihachi slept with another descendant of Azazel's devils. I do want to point out, both are extremely valid, as human cloning and experimentation was something conducted from Tekken 3 to 4, with both G Corporation and the Zaibotsu specializing in it. But I do believe that the other theory actually has a stronger chance right now, with it being established in the opening credits. So the Hachijos weren't the only line to have obtained this power, as we see two figures in this tapestry, with the left one being zoomed in, referencing Kazuya. And whilst you could believe that the other half is Jin, I wish to remind you that during the events of Tekken 2, when Jin was conceived, the devil gene was actually split in two, with one half residing in Kazuya and the other in Jin. So the devil on the right is one we have little to no knowledge of. And with a completely different line, there's always the possibility that they host a completely different array of abilities. But that's definitely just a theory on my end. But seeing as we've tied up a considerable amount about the devil gene, as well as any lingering plot threads surrounding Angel, it would make sense that maybe going forward, we analyze what happened to the other servants of Azazel, with Reina being the current wielder of that line, and in a pretty favourable position as an antagonist moving forward. Now moving along, we do have two characters I want to touch on that are quite intertwined in the aftermath of 8. Jun Kazama and Kazuya Mishima. And the reason why I say this is because there's a number of different interpretations kind of floating around of what exactly this ending means. And I think that now, with a bit of time, we do have a better formulated idea of what is going on between them. So, what do we know? Well, at the end of Tekken 8, after Kazuya's defeat, his body is approached by a mysterious unseen figure, with it being believed to be Jun Kazama, as it's her footwear that gives away whom it is. Now, I know that some, including myself, at first believed this to have been Kazuya's death, having finally been reunited with her in the afterlife, but it's only through a locked away animated sequence where we actually learn of the fate of Jun and how she survives Tekken 3. As during Ogre's assault, Jun was able to draw him out to the spiritual lands of the Kazamas. Here she is able to face and defeat him, tapping into the holy spirits of the land surrounding her. But it's in her exhaustion from this fight where her wounds cause her to fall into a great slumber, one that preserves her very soul and being, all the way in fact into Tekken 8. It's through these means that she is able to reach out to Jin and assist him with his angel form. But with the devil gene gone, it looks like Jun was finally released from the forest grasp, recovering the unconscious body of Kazuya Mishima. Currently, as of making this video, it is unknown just how canon character episodes are, seeing as they function as arcade ladder endings. But with hers, there seems to be an inkling of continuity slithered in, as she's envisioning a future of Jin and Kazuya. It's a very wholesome yet very bittersweet ending, as the truth of reality does set in, with her seemingly alone. But if we take a closer look at that blanket, we see that it belongs to G Corporation. So if there's any truth possibly lingering behind this, I believe that upon Kazuya's defeat, she may be nursing him back to health, trying to simultaneously bring back the man she once saw, as the nature of their relationship has always been a mysterious one. Kazuya himself is a very cold and calculated figure, one that doesn't show any other emotion than anger, Yet, he has a strange soft spot for Jun, as it's noticeably something that makes him hesitate his own actions. So this could very well lead to a redemption arc for the character. But what of the data mined content? Well, let's get into that. So yes, spoilers ahead. There's currently 2 cutscenes snuck away in the game's files. One with Leo, where they're reunited with their father, presumably taking place before the events of 8. And then one with Jun, where it looks like she is awoken from her slumber. Again, presumably taking place during the climax of Tekken 8. There aren't truly any hints of whether or not these are future character stories, but seeing the characters that it's focused on, this could very well be a way to tell stories of what everyone else was doing during Jin's final battle. And since we're on the topic of Jin, what could become of him here? Honestly, this is really hard to say, because of all of the characters I've talked about. Jin's arc is easily the most conclusive. He defeated his father, purging both him and himself of the devil gene. He even resolved himself of his past guilt, and is possibly pursuing a relationship with Xiaoyu. It looks to be a very cut and dry ending, so I don't really think there's too much to be done or said with him here. He may just have to go in a different direction. If I really had to dig, I would say that the only force right now that could oppose Reina would be him, especially with her desire for the Zaibotsu. But even so, if he does win, I doubt that he would be interested in reacquiring that role. With that said, everyone, that's kind of been it for everything I've been able to pull away from 8's story. There's not too much regarding plot, as narratively, 8's story really does feel like a finale for the franchise. But even so, with clearly more DLC on the horizon, I'm very invested to see what comes next going forward. What character stories could impact the foundation of the franchise? So, with that said, before we do wrap up here, what do you think will happen with these characters moving forward? And of course, what direction would you like to see the story turn? Please do comments down below, as I'd absolutely love to hear what you have to say. But for now, everyone, that has been it for me. So as always, stay strong, stay well, and keep on fighting. I'll catch you in the next one.